When my wife first mentioned that she was going out with another man, she laughed it off and called it just a fun date. She promised me over and over that it wasn't serious, that she would never cheat on me, and that it was only a harmless evening out. I wanted to believe her, though every word stabbed at me like a blade. My heart told me it wasn't right, but my trust in her made me let it go. I convinced myself she meant what she said, that she truly loved me and would never cross that line. That night, I sat at home alone, trying to distract myself with television. Nothing could take my mind off her being with someone else. I wondered what he was like, why she felt the need to see him, and whether she would laugh at his jokes the way she used to laugh at mine. I checked my phone every few minutes, waiting for a message from her, but there was nothing. Hours went by. The clock ticked past midnight, and I started to feel the kind of unease that gnaws at your stomach. When she finally walked through the door, her hair was slightly messy. Her lipstick faded, and her perfume carried the scent of cigarettes she didn't smoke. She smiled at me and said, "Relax." It was nothing. But I saw something in her eyes that made my chest tighten. A flicker of guilt she tried to hide. I asked her how the date went. She laughed again and brushed it off, saying it was just dinner, some drinks, and a lot of silly talk. She swore up and down that she didn't cheat, that she only wanted to feel a little excitement. But no matter how she sugarcoated it, I could sense something had shifted. It wasn't just me being paranoid. It was the way she avoided my eyes when she spoke. I couldn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I imagined her sitting close to him, laughing, maybe even letting him touch her hand. Those thoughts burned into me, and by morning, the woman I thought I knew felt like a stranger. My love for her hadn't died, but it had been poisoned with doubt. The next day, I tried to carry on as if nothing had happened, but I couldn't. Notice the little details, how she lingered on her phone longer, how she smiled at unread messages, and how she turned the screen away when I passed by. My chest ached with questions I was too afraid to ask. If I pressed her, would she admit more than I could handle? Finally, I confronted her again. I told her I couldn't bear the uncertainty, that if she truly cared for me, she needed to be honest. She grew angry, accusing me of not trusting her, of being insecure. But tears filled her eyes, betraying her words. She whispered, "It didn't mean anything," and my heart nearly collapsed under the weight of what she wasn't saying. That was the moment I knew. Maybe she didn't spend the whole night in his arms. Maybe she didn't cross every line, but she crossed. Enough. My trust had been shattered. The bond we once shared, built on years of love and loyalty, now lay broken at our feet. In the days that followed, our home became a battlefield of silence. We barely spoke, except for the shallow words we exchanged to keep up appearances. I couldn't look at her without seeing the image of her with him, and she couldn't look at me without seeing the disappointment and pain she had caused. She tried to win me back, cooking my favorite meals, sitting beside me on the couch, pretending nothing had changed. But everything had changed. Her laughter no longer sounded sweet to me. It sounded hollow. Her touch no longer comforted me. It felt like a reminder of betrayal. One night, she finally broke down. She admitted she had kissed him, that it was a mistake, that she thought it was just harmless fun, but realized too late that it wasn't. She begged me to forgive her, to forget that night, and to move on together. But forgiveness doesn't come with words. It needs time, and time doesn't erase images burned into the heart. I looked at her, the woman I had loved with all my soul. I felt a storm of emotions, anger, sorrow, and longing for the trust we had lost. I told her I couldn't promise anything, that I needed space to decide whether I could ever see her the same way again. She wept, clutching my hand, swearing she would prove her love. And as I sat there in the quiet of our home, I realized that sometimes betrayal isn't in the act itself, but in the breaking of trust. She called it just a fun date, but to me it was the moment our marriage changed forever. That night, as she cried in my arms, I felt the weight of her guilt and the sincerity of her regret. She promised again and again that it would never happen, that she had learned how close she came to losing me. I could see she was broken, not just by her mistake, but by the thought of living without us. I sighed deeply and told her that forgiveness wasn't easy, but love meant giving each other another chance. I chose to forgive her, not because I had forgotten, but because I still loved her more than my pride. She held me tightly, whispering, "Thank you," through her tears. And in that moment, we both understood that rebuilding trust would take time, but at least we would face it together.